There's a problem with Mr. T Lexify. Last year, I made a video giving a detailed look at the harm of React content and how it's been acting as a cancer in the zombies community, constantly hoarding impressions to the biggest creators, causing many of the smaller creators to fall into the cracks, which in my opinion was a major factor in the decline of the community in recent months, beyond just the general lack of content. I left that video looking very optimistically at the future of the community and figured why not celebrate the 1 year anniversary of that video by seeing if my more optimistic viewpoint paid off. Spoiler alert, it didn't. This video is also going to act as kind of a pseudo remake of the original video because while I still am rather fond of the script, I think the editing, voiceover, and general presentation of that video has aged rather poorly, and so I made the hard choice to private that video and let this one replace on the channel. I'm of course also making this video because thanks to the social parasites better known as XQC and Hassan, React content is once again under fire, and there won't ever be a better time for me to fix my errors in my original video. This time around I will be mainly focusing on Lex, but mainly just to help condense the video to make it flow a lot smoother, because Lex is one of the most abhorrent examples with React content in the community. But just like last time, nearly everything I say will equally apply to Noah or any other reactor on the platform. So without further ado, my bitches, my bros, my non-binary hoes, let's talk about how content creators are still killing the zombies community nearly 1 year later. Like last time, before we can properly begin, I need to quickly define what I view as a reactor, because I am aware my definition may differ from what you consider to be a reactor. For the purposes of this video, I am considering anyone who rebroadcasts someone else's work as a reactor. So your Alexes, your Noahs, or as I mentioned before, your Hassans and XQC. This does not include people who use others' creative works to make their own that stands apart from the original video. Essentially your legal eagles, or to use a more gaming-based example, Carl Jobs videos on speedruns. Because while Carl isn't obviously getting every world record he talks about, his videos do stand alone from the original creator and are not a substitute for the original speedrun. Reaction content has forever been demonized for being what most would probably consider to be lazy content. And while those people definitely are not wrong in the slightest, in my opinion, it's one of the lesser evils when it comes to the overall harm that React content can cause. If the zombies community was hell, and React content was the 9 circles found within Dante's Inferno, then laziness would just be the first circle. Before we can move forward, I do want to clarify that no matter how high and mighty I might act on Twitter, I am not, nor do I view myself as some moral authority, and I do not view the law as one either. But while people often quickly claim that their content is indeed fair use, I felt like it was worth to quickly disprove this myth before moving on to the darker problems with Lex's React content. While fair use itself isn't an actual law, meaning it has no clear black and white rules, these cases are decided on by a case-by-case basis, and most judges typically have used 4 metrics to determine if something is fair use or not. For all those newborns or people who live under a rock watching this video, fair use is basically a clause in the US copyright code that gives people the right to use other people's copyright materials without needing prior permission under the circumstances or purposes such as criticism, news reporting, teachings, or research. The first metric is basically just, is this product being used for commercial gain or is it a non-profit? With most of the time, non-profits are getting more protections with fair use. This is how fan films like the racist Spider-Mans are allowed to be made, because as long as the film's grand wizard, director, doesn't start selling any tickets for the film or monetize it on YouTube, he won't be struck down by Sony, or at least he has a good chance in court to get it overruled. The second metric is based off whether or not the original product is a creative work or historical work, with historical works typically receiving less protections, as it would be kind of fucked if you could just copyright or trademark history. The third metric is basically how much of the original work did you use, and did you only use what you needed to without no extra fat. This is actually the exact metric that saved Ethan Klein's ass in the H3H3 lawsuit, because the judge specifically said they ruled in favor of the Kleins due to the fact they only used the content they needed for the commentary and critiques of the original work to make sense, and didn't use any bit extra. And the final metric is basically, can your new product serve as a market substitute for the original? Basically meaning, does this new material basically serve the exact same purpose as the original you took from? And unfortunately, Lex and other reactors fall flat on their face here, because not only does he stream the entirety of someone else's video on Twitch, which is still pretty bad despite whatever Oxenox may say, he then re-uploads the entire thing onto his second channel, Lex Lounge. So yes, Lex's reaction violate all 4 of the original metrics to determine something is fair use, with the only one you can kinda argue about being the second one. Because sure, you could debate that speedruns are technically historical accounts, but even if you win that debate, speedruns aren't the only thing Lex reacts to. And again, I do not find the legality of something being a major contributing factor if something is moral or not, because I do not also view all laws as moral. But React content does absolutely violate the law, and if any of these creators had the money or resources to actually DMCA strike a creator, it would be a guaranteed win for the creator. Another major issue with Lex's React content, the fact that he doesn't ask the people he reacts to if it's okay for him to rebroadcast their videos. I've talked to multiple people that Lex has reacted to, and not a single one of them said they had Lex reach out beforehand and ask if it was okay. It's also incredibly ironic, as this is something Lex has previously criticized both WatchMojo and IGN for back in the day.
But this second point is a serious matter regarding content creators and the whole crediting system WatchMojo has going on, and particularly with the main gameplay provider, the relaxing end. Now, I asked many people who are featured in the video, such as Crazy Rabbit, Mr. Dalek JD, if WatchMojo asked for the permission of the use of their content, and they all came back to me with the same conclusion, that they had absolutely no idea that their content was being used in the video until they watched it. And I get it that it can be kind of a privilege to be featured on a channel with over 11 million subscribers, but that still doesn't mean that you can't just take people's gameplay without their permission, okay?
And even if asking permission would not negate the shitty shit we've yet to talk about with React content, it does not give Lex the right to do this. And it doesn't even give people who are having their content stolen a real chance to protect their videos. Because by the time any reactors have noticed that they got a reaction to by Lex, which usually takes a while because as we're back to establish, there is no real benefit to being reacted to by Lex, the damage is already done. The video has already been shown to thousands, and Lex already pocketed any money from labor he didn't work for. The only real recourse the victim has at this point is to either publicly complain on Twitter about it, or to copyright claim / strike the video, which will only result in a bunch of angry, unwashed 14-year-olds coming after them for insulting their favorite reactor. If you do not believe me, look what happened when CGP Grey called out a reactor for stealing their video. And while I doubt it is intentional, by waiting to see if the victim gets mad after the fact, they're forcing these creators to be stuck in a position where they cannot stick up for themselves and are stuck in a cycle of getting their content over and over again until the reactor decides to finally double the exploitation and give it to the next person. While this is already sounding pretty awful, you may notice we're still only in the 3rd circle. Moving on, we can actually now dispel the myth of reaction content actually being beneficial to the people being reacted to, who will be calling the reactee for the remainder of this video. This claim being so widespread by reactors, you think I would have a hard time to disprove this, but all it really takes is having fucking eyes. But before we dismantle this lie, let's actually live in the picture these reactors like to paint, and pretend that React content can occasionally help give creators a boost in the algorithm. One, it doesn't, because most of the videos Lex reacts to are already in the algorithm, but just because it would occasionally work doesn't negate the damage it does to other creators and its overall uselessness. Should we start praising the lottery for being an extraordinary money-making method just because it occasionally gives someone $700 million despite the fact the government makes $68 billion per year? You know, honestly thinking about it, comparing React videos to the lottery is actually pretty apt because both give the illusion of being for the greater community. Despite them only existing to help make the owners themselves money, both have a comically fanciful chance of actually helping anyone other than the creators, and both try to use any positive side effects as hollow justifications while both are only motivated by increasing their bank accounts. The main difference between the two is at least the lottery does have a winner, whereas with reactors, the only real winner is the reactor themselves. And am I saying the lottery is actually more beneficial than reactors for that sentence? You know what? Yeah, I think I am saying that, because it's true. And even in the rare situations where a creator does benefit from reactions, like Kingsman's for example, there is nothing stopping Lex from stealing more views and impressions from Kingsman the next time he uploads a reaction video. Because the goal of reactors isn't just to steal the views from the people they react to, but to everyone. Don't understand how React content hurts everyone? Well, let me explain. YouTube as a platform has one main goal: to keep you the viewer on the platform and to watch as many ads as you can. To ensure this, they created the YouTube algorithm to look at your viewing habits and try to recommend you videos that you're most likely to watch, because they know the longer someone spends time on the site looking for a video, the more likely you are to click off and go to another platform. They also do this because obviously if you're looking for videos, you're not watching ads. The way YouTube does this is giving you impressions of videos, which is essentially anytime you see a thumbnail of a video with a chance to click on it and watch the whole thing. These impressions are a very limited resource because of two main reasons. The first and biggest reason being because there's only so many videos that you can recommend to someone before they decide there isn't anything worth watching and move on to something else. The second reason is also just because there's only so much impressions YouTube can put on a page at a time. So YouTube doesn't just give out these impressions all willy-nilly. They're only giving out the videos that YouTube is certain that you will watch but are likely to watch another video afterwards. Because at the end of the day, YouTube doesn't give two shits what you're watching, they just care that you're watching YouTube. Creators obviously don't feel the same way. We want you to simply be watching our videos. So every time a creator uploads, we're essentially competing in the same finite market to get your impressions on our videos and get your views on our videos. Because as time has gone on and YouTube algorithm has changed, subscriptions and likes don't make a video anymore. You can know a creator's name, you can be subscribed to him, hell, you can even have notifications on. But if you're not in the recommended feed, the chances are you will not be watching their videos. One of the main ways that YouTube determines if your video is good enough to be given impressions is what the average view duration of that video is. That's how so many people have been able to quote unquote cheat the system, so to speak, and get themselves into your recommended feed by uploading a 20-second clip, speed it up to high hell, and then having people watch it at 2.5 speed, giving the video a watch percentage of 400%, making YouTube think, holy shit! This kid's so good they got people watch their entire video 4 times over. And this is exactly how reactees get hurt by reactions. Because while it is absolutely absurd to think all 20,000 people who watched Lex watch a Poop of the Dead speedrun would have naturally watched the Poop of the Dead speedrun on their own. It is safe to assume at least one person would have watched that video naturally that now won't do to seeing the entire thing with Lex's face over it. But that's not the problem. The problem is when people start to click the link to the original video, to leave a like and subscribe, and then go back to Lex's stream because they're scared Lex might do something really rare and actually be entertaining for once. And when they switch back and continue watching the stream with him, rather than watching the video, this absolutely tanks their average view duration and essentially stopping the video's growth in its track, ultimately doing more harm to the video than it would if he just reacted it without credit, which is something we'll be discussing in a minute. Admittedly, he has gotten better at this, now only linking up to the original creator's channel, which you gotta, I guess, give praise where it's due, but this is something I still decided is worth mentioning because Lex might have been seemingly smart enough to figure out that linking the video was bad. Not every reactor has seemed to consider that. Which finally brings us all to the 5th circle of hell, and why the react content is so harmful, not just to the person you're reacting to, but every single creator on the internet, including other sites like Twitch, Kick, TikTok, etc. It takes time to make a YouTube video. This is an indisputable fact. And while creators can upgrade their setups or begin to pay people to help speed up their time, there is a limit on how fast someone can make a YouTube video before they start sacrificing quality over quantity. Reactors don't have this problem, however, because however long it takes for a reactor to watch a YouTube video is how long it takes them to make that video. Plus, maybe add 5 minutes of them hitting the thumbnail, typing on a title, and adding the same fucking face to the thumbnail with a barely relevant render behind them. What takes 40 hours for an actual content creator to make, Lex can do in 40 minutes. It still gets worse. Because Lex isn't just limited to reacting to 1 video per stream or only uploading 1 a day, because he can upload both to Lex Lounge and his main channel, which he has done before. So who at the end of the day do you think is going to end up with a greater share of the overall impressions in the zombies community? A content creator that takes an entire week to make 1 high quality video? Or Lex, who just straight up stole and re-uploaded several videos? Obviously Lex, but it gets worse because he isn't just stealing impressions from people he reacts to, but all of us. Every time a Mr. T Lex fight or a Lex Launch video appears in your recommended feed, that impression is taking up a slot that could have gone to another creator. And since it's impossible to know what video Lex stole that impression from, it's almost impossible to really understand just how many creators are getting fucked over by the system. So let me try to use a real world example to help you understand. Let's say you work at a restaurant, and one day Lex comes in and while no one is looking, steals all of the tips that you and your coworkers have yet to get off the table and leaves. While Lex just clearly stole money from you and your coworkers, you are not going to be upset because you had no knowledge the tip existed, which is why most creators don't view React content as being so insidious towards the creator ecosystem, beyond just being lazy. But I'm sure if someone walked up to you and said, hey, that greasy motherfucker with a reclining hairline just took all your money, you'd be pretty pissed. And going back to the myth of reactions occasionally helping smaller creators with a bump, let's change the analogy a bit to fit this, okay? It'd basically be like if before Lex left, he decided to give you 20% of the money he stole. Since you once again have no idea that was money that already belonged to you and your coworkers, the action itself makes Lex look very magnanimous, This fact he's only giving you a portion of what he stole from me to begin with. I looked at every reaction video Lex uploaded in the last month on Lex Lounge, at least as of writing this video. All in all, Lex has gained about 566,000 views from reaction content. Assuming his videos has the industry standard click-through rate of 4%, that means Lex has hoarded up about 14 million impressions from just his reaction videos alone. 14 million impressions that could have gone to other channels in the community or the platform as a whole. And while yes, it is fucking absurd to assume all 14 million impressions would have been dispersed out against the creators Lex reacted to or to the wider community, like I said before, he steals reactions from all of us. And I'm not even including the reaction he posts on his main channel, because when I wrote this video, I assumed Lex at least had the decency to keep reactions to his second channel. But then due to me having to watch so many Lex videos for this video's research, I started getting Lex videos in my recommended, and I noticed that there was quite a few reactions that were uploaded onto the main channel. So these numbers that you've seen are on the low end so far. Do you still think reaction content is a fair game? Because we still haven't reached the bottom of the rabbit hole, baby. Because these are only estimates of the impression Lex is directly getting. These aren't counting the views and impression Lex gets while he's watching someone else's video on Twitch, or the subs, bits, and donations he gets while watching these people on Twitch, or the impressions his other videos get. Because that's how it works. Let's say Lex reacts to one of your videos tomorrow. And even though you were the one that entertained Lex's chat, you were the one that created however many hours of watch time Lex got in that video, since it was Lex rebroadcasting your video, he will be the one that reaps the rewards. He is the one that will start appearing in those viewers' recommended feed, not you. And it's actually impossible for me to calculate how many people are carrying over from Lex's reactions to his commentary and main channel videos. And all I know is I'm one of those people, and it sucks because I do not want to watch Lex. And while yes, Lex in his own way does add some entertainment value to a video, that doesn't mean he deserves to reap all the benefit from it. Do you think your friend who made Black Adam more enjoyable to watch deserves a piece of the pie because they made jokes during the film and told you their opinion afterwards? No? Does that sound absolutely absurd?
Good, because it fucking is.
But because of how the internet works and because of how many people are so ethically bankrupt at the top, this is the kind of behavior that is now being seen as acceptable when just a few short years, people like Lex and XUC and Noah and Hassan and Ludwig and Destiny and so many others would have been kicked off the platform. And now with that mouthful out of the way, we can finally move on to the sixth circle of hell and deal with the issues of crediting creators. Because while Lex is currently getting better with crediting, and in the 15 videos I looked at this month, he credited every single one correctly, it is an issue that Lex still has, like the time that he just straight up stole Apothos' gameplay for background footage in a random commentary video without permission and without crediting the footage to Apothos. And then when he received criticism for that, he finally added the link to Apothos in the description to his Twitter. And then finally, after enough backlash to that, he finally added the Apothos' channel as well. And he still has never publicly acknowledged this issue. And allegedly, this isn't even the first or last time he did this. On my original video, there was a comment left by Orlando saying in a Shadows of Evil speedrun Lex quote-unquote reacted to, he spent the entire time ignoring the video and just rambling about Leafy's ear. You know how fucked up that shit is? Reaction content's pretty bad, but to leave a video running just so you can ramble about some random shit? You know you don't need a still footage for that, right? You could just like have your face cam footage be the main interest, or just play a game of zombies and record it. You don't need to fucking steal someone else's gameplay to entertain your audience because you're not entertaining enough on your own. I heavily consider to prove my point just to have the entirety of this video be Lex's 1 million subscriber special, just to prove how fucking shitty that is. In all honesty, one of the main reasons I didn't do that is because I was afraid that Lex would just strike the video down. And since this portion of the video is titled Stolen Valor, I like to actually mention something that I actually got some small criticism for not mentioning in my original video. And that is the way that Lex titled most of his reactions, being in such a way that makes it seem like he's the one who is breaking these records. He is the one that's spending hundreds of hours solely optimizing these runs. He is the one doing all the hard work when he's not doing a single fucking thing. And we're now reaching the 7th and final circle of hell. And I know Dante's Inferno has 9. I kind of combined most of them in the chapter 4. This is the actual update part of the video where we will reflect on how things have changed since last year, since I left the last video in a very optimistic place, which, spoiler alert, makes me look like a dumbass because nothing ended up changing. Noah still has a shitty time actually mentioning the runner's name. And although Lex promised to begin turning his reactions into essentially interviews with the speedrunner, he did that exactly once, and once the heat blew off him, he was back to his normal routine of just stealing videos. So this video is probably going to end with me being a lot more jaded than last time, because I've already offered solutions to help mitigate the damage, and none of it was listened to. I've already offered solutions to help mitigate the damage and make the content ethical. Because if this was an interview, or Lex was actually paying the reactees to use his content, kind of like what Daily Dose of Internet does, it would be fine in my opinion. But he doesn't, and he won't. I have a point now, well, where I think the platform would just generally be a better place if reaction videos didn't exist. The zombies community might have less people slipping through the cracks, at least, if there was 14 million more impressions to go around. And that is ultimately how I feel Lex is helping kill the community. The community has been dead on YouTube since 2017, and it's had some massive hitters come up in these dead years, the game as a whole, which is not actually reflected in the player counts for these games. 2021 saw the peak of people playing the mode since 2010, and at least according to Shrek themselves, yet the internet side of things were dead. And this isn't the first game to have that effect. World War II also did really well with player numbers, and some of its DLCs were actually very successful, but on YouTube it was a fucking ghost town. And I believe it's a mixture of a lot of the old guard not producing content they want to see, which is draining people's interest in consuming content about the mode as a whole. It's the reason why you see a constant changing of the guard with most other communities, like Minecraft and GTA and other games have been around as long as God. Zombies hasn't really had that. Sure, we've had a lot of the older people in the community stop posting content, but the majority of the bigger creators are still the same guys from 2016. Hell, even Zombies itself had a change in the guard back in 2015, which is when I think we went from Syndicate, NGT to Relaxing In, to The Smith Plays, Lex, and Steve. I think the community is at a point where we are in desperate need of change, but because of these creators refusing them to move the fuck on and using reaction content to cling to the last bit of relevancy they can, we'll never get that. Because the underground community is great. I can name off multiple people who deserve to be over 100k but aren't. Stanley557, Takeout Mars, Freckleston, Bug of Cake, The Legend HD, Facid, Jolt, Godzilla, Vizlan, and so many more. And while I've had personal disagreements with some of the people some of the people I just listed, they still make great videos that deserve far more views than they actually get, but they don't. And they won't. And I believe that's how Lex is harming the community. Because while I'm not saying if suddenly he disappeared, all of these creators just flourish and get millions of views, I do believe overall they would be in a better state. And all that being said, I think it's only fair that I mention the circumstances where React content is perfectly acceptably produced under certain circumstances. The first is if the content's being made against you specifically. So if Lex was to react to this video, for example, which I doubt he will, because after all, the best scam is one where it's hard to understand that you're being scammed, and I doubt Lex is going to broadcast a 14-page essay on exactly how he's been scamming people, but if he were to, it'd be perfectly acceptable in my opinion. The second metric is if the content can exist with you. So still using Lex's example, his old series of JC called Remember That Time When, where people would submit tweets for Lex to basically react to. That shit was perfectly fine. And the final metric is if you reach out to content creator beforehand, get their express written consent, and pay them for the clips you use. Because I'm not bothered people getting impressions using their own videos or videos they've commissioned. I think that's perfectly fine because you are at least putting in some effort to have those impressions. You're not just stealing them and re-uploading someone else's labor and claiming the benefits for yourself. My main issue comes from people who are just straight up stealing other people's labor, re-uploading it, and then acting like they're so benevolent and actually helping out the little guy when any positive effects given to the reactee are side effects, not the main intent, and I think that's it. I've been Nicole Cringe, and I'll see you guys next week with me unlocking every achievement in BO4 Zombie. It was supposed to come out today, but it's been eating at me away with just how shit the last bit of this video was. And when I saw the drama with SS Sniper Wolf and Jack's films, followed by Exorcism Hassan being pieces of shit once again, and stoking the fire, I decided to make this video again because there would be no other chance that I would have to fix my mistake. Anyway, good night everyone, and here's a sneak peek at next week's video. Last year, I embarked upon a quest to unlock every single achievement in Call of Duty Zombies. So far, we've unlocked all 27 achievements in Black Ops 1, all 50 achievements in Black Ops 2, and all 52 achievements in Black Ops 3. But we are now finally getting around to the hardest challenge yet. All 87 achievements in Black Ops 4 Zombies. This video will without a doubt be my longest video yet, and will contain far more suffering than every other episode in the series combined. So go ahead, get comfortable, grab yourselves a snack and maybe a nice refreshing beverage like a cold Rogue Energy. Join me on my quest to unlock every single achievement in Black Ops 4 Zombies.
Go outside, touch grass. Go outside, touch ass. Go outside, touch grass. Go inside, touch ass. Hate the money coming crumbs on the bread, it's seeds on the print and the suit double breasted.